Welcome. You're watching Retire Your Way. I'm your co-host, Mark Henry, and of course, I'm joined with the founder and CEO of Thrive, Ben Heiser himself. Ben, thanks for having me back on.
Mark, it's always a pleasure to be with you.
Well, it's good. It's good to be on, and I really enjoy doing this show with you. And and I love this idea of retiring your way. I think that's just what the people, viewers listening right now and watching, they're going, yeah, I get that. That's what they want. They retire your way.
Yeah.
And that's a big deal to you, isn't it?
It is. It really
is. And then the idea of Thrive. You know, you've gone through this big rebranding and name change and all, but what a great experience for you and your company and all your clients. They've got to be so proud to see that you've outgrown being Heiser Financial, which was something. That's who I know you as.
Yeah.
How many years? 15 years or something?
So I've been in the financial industry since '04. We branched out on our own in 2008. So Heiser Financial Group's been around for 14 plus years by itself. And it is that our clients are so excited. Some of them that's been with us since the very beginning.
Sure.
When we jumped out into the very beginning from corporate America into the private and independent space.
Yeah.
And we just have a fun time with our clients. We love hanging out with them. We meet up with them multiple times a year, just have some fun events because our clients are like family to us, and it's very important.
Well, I think it shows, and again, it's why during what many people, unfortunately, have experienced some of the toughest times our country may have been through in decades.
Yeah.
And but your company is thriving. Thrive. I just love it. It's so appropriately named, and that just is a testament to how well your processes are.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that comes, and I know we've got a lot of stuff we have to talk about today, but I want to share and I want to bring up. You bring a level of discipline to your practice that I do these shows around the country, but I don't see it often.
Yeah.
And I think there's a special part of your life that caused that. You learned early on to be kind of disciplined because of the sports you played. Is that true?
Totally true. Yeah, I was.
And I think it's okay to share that because, to me, when I think about what I would be looking for in a financial partner, I want somebody that's disciplined because, unfortunately, life's going to throw a lot of curveballs at people.
Sure did. Yeah, I mean, it's why I have funny-looking ears, Well, it's from the sport of wrestling there.
That's right. But I recognize that. But I also know I had a son that wrestled, and I know the discipline it takes to do that. But you didn't just go and be on the wrestling team. You did this. When did you start wrestling?
Yeah, so I started wrestling actually a little bit late for most people in 7th grade.
Oh, wow, that is late.
Yeah, so at 12 years old, we started to begin that journey. Loved the sport. It was something that I engaged with immediately.
You obviously excelled at it.
And then our high school coaches were fantastic at helping me get the fundamentals necessary. Got a Division I wrestling scholarship to NIU, and went out there, competed for them at the Division I level. The college coaches took those fundamentals that we had in the discipline, understood what the goal was, and then we just missed the goal. I was a 3-time Division I conference champion, a 2-time All-American, missed the undefeated my entire senior year until the national finals. If you really want to go have some fun, you can watch me get my butt kicked in the national finals on YouTube. Just don't bring it into the office.
That's not a moment you want to relive.
It's not something we relive.
But I bring that up because what does that have to do with retirement planning? Well, I think it has everything to do with it.
It sure does, yeah.
Because when I partner with somebody for something as important as a 30-year retirement potentially, I hope it's that long for me, I want them to have a very disciplined, planned, a strong work ethic. And again, I think that's why your company has grown in the way that it is, going into multiple states now and in the experience you've experienced, television show and all the other things.
You bring up a really interesting point that we don't talk about a lot. That experience too also taught me how important it is to have a coach and a guide, someone that understands and the goals and the dreams and the values that you have and takes the work that you've done and then help you organize it into a plan that you can feel confident with. And that's how we've really structured it.
Could you become a Division I wrestler without the coaches?
I would not have had the plan, the strategy to be able to have the success. I fully tell you that coaching and guides, advisors, the right type of thing. And again, it's also a personal feel.
Right.
Do you like someone? Do you trust them? Do you think they know what they're doing enough? That's important in a relationship that you have when you're trusting someone with your dream, especially with your wealth. We want to work with somebody to create their plan so they understand it. We don't want to do it for them because then we might misinterpret something. It might be about me.
See, I love what you said. You want to work with them.
That's that. Yep.
That's a big thing. And unfortunately, I'm afraid, and I don't want to beat up on our industry, but I think the big box retailers miss that. I think it's too much of this is what you go do instead of this is what we will do.
And we've been trained like that as a society, and it's not your fault. Right? We get into this accumulation model, and most of our big box companies are trying to chase the gains and the returns and the accumulation, and then you get to retirement, and you got your 401ks and your IRAs and the after-tax savings that you have, and you're sitting there going, now what do I do? How do I create the income?
Set of rules.
I had this, I had a guy come in the other day, I was like, I just want to get to $4 million. Why? Because that's what we're taught to do. Save, 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 put it up. Well, what if we needed $3 million to accomplish the same goal and you could have retired 5 years earlier with the right plan? So it's not all about the lump sum of money that we have. It's all about how do we utilize it? How do we maximize it? And how do we make it the most efficient?
I love this. Well, before we have to go to a commercial break, you told me we were going to talk about, and you wanted to talk about 5, I don't know what the right word is, I guess, retirement risk that people could, it's a very educational show. So let's start that out. We've got a little time. Let's start it out. So give me one of these retirement risks that everyone watching should be like taking a note and going, okay, yeah, I need to look at that in my own plan.
Yeah, I think when we talk about risk, the first thing that comes to anyone's mind, maybe you're sitting there thinking about this, you're thinking about market risk.
Yeah.
Right? The volatility of the ups and downs, because we're only focusing on something that has market risk. But there are a lot of other types of risk.
So is market risk one of the 5?
Market risk is one of the 5, and probably the one that we know the most.
It's the one that would have first come to my mind. Market risk. Okay.
Now, interest rate risk is the flip side of that, right? If we start to see volatility and now we put our money into cash because we're worried about the fact because we didn't have a risk mitigation plan in place, that's important. But if we don't do that and we put it all into a safe place, now what do we have? Well, we have inflation risk, right? The interest rate risk that comes at us because inflation is continuously eroding at our money, depending on what percentages. It's been lower, but now it's 7+%. It's going to get back under control. I mean, that's the bank and the Federal Reserve's job. But at the end of the day, if we're not preparing for it, you could find yourself shrinking up and surviving in retirement, and our job is to help you thrive.
I love it. I mean, that's exactly right. So we just gave up a couple of those. I'm going to want to come back when we come back after this segment and really dive into a couple of those. But I never thought of this idea that putting money in your savings, which I know you believe in emergency funds. We've talked about that. We have a lot of common beliefs. Cash is still king, and you believe in that. But being excessive causes interest rate risk. And I didn't really think about that because you're basically, am I saying this right? You're losing money safely?
Absolutely. That's a good way to put it.
I mean, yeah, you're not making what inflation is, so your purchasing power is going down. Your statement didn't go down. The number's the same. But you could buy less with it because of the high inflationary period we find ourselves in.
Exactly.
That's awesome. Well, listen, we've got a very important opportunity for you right now. The number's on your screen. 855-855-7655. That sounds so weird to say it twice, doesn't it? But we're giving it to you correct. You can see it on there. 855-855-7655. This is not a toll-free helpline. It's a toll-free number where you can call with your appointment book in hand. Ben and his amazing team, he has certified financial planners, fiduciaries, he's got it all. They have agreed to take the next 15 callers that will call in right now. If you've saved $250,000 or more for retirement, this is absolutely your opportunity to get started on your very own confident financial future with a written retirement plan. And it all starts with a simple phone call, absolutely complimentary with no obligations. Pick up the phone right now and dial 855-855-7655. Hey, stay tuned. We've got so much more coming up on Retire Your Way.
As a good saver, you've been putting away money during your working years. Studies find that the biggest fear of retirees is running out of money. Market volatility isn't just the downward movement of stock prices, it's the size and frequency of change. The more dramatic the ups and downs, the higher the volatility. This can put savers who are newly retired or a few years away from being retired at greater risk. Today's generation of retirees is not receiving traditional pensions as our parents or grandparents did. Instead, we have retirement accounts such as 401ks or 403bs. These accounts typically expose your money to market risk. The last thing you want right before retirement is to lose a portion of the money you need for income. But how do you turn these accounts into a retirement income? Is it safe to keep all your retirement money sitting in the stock market? The last thing you want is to lose a portion of the money you need for income due to market loss. By working with a financial professional, you can learn how to turn a portion of your savings into an income stream for life and income for the life of your spouse if you're married. We all have moments in our lives when we wish we had taken action sooner. Don't let procrastination reign on your retirement parade. Act now before it's too late. Please call our office to set up your no-cost, no-obligation retirement income review today.
Welcome back to Retire Your Way. I'm your co-host, Mark Henry, and I'm joined, of course, with Ben Heiser, the CEO and founder of Thrive. And, when you think about what, I think, you can't get anybody to agree on anything, but I think when you think about what everyone wants to do in retirement, they want to thrive.
I hope so, right? I've never said anyone go, hey, I just want to survive and shrink up and have no fun at all, right?
No,
we want to enjoy it.
Well, if they do, they probably don't need to call your firm.
Exactly, that's a true statement.
That would not, that's not a good fit for you. You always want to get people to dial in. We have so many callers that call every week, but that would not be a good fit. If they're looking to just survive retirement, call the other guys.
That's right, they're good at that.
Yeah, they're good at that. I love that, great answer. All right, so we're talking about 5 retirement risk. We've talked about a couple. One of them was pretty easy, but I like to maybe jump in a little bit on it.
Yeah.
Market volatility, market risk.
Yep.
But you want to be in the market. I know you have a wealth planning division, fiduciaries that help with that.
Yes.
And so you're a pro-market person, and they do a great job at it.
Yeah.
But so it almost sounds like when you say market risk that we should avoid that one, but you don't feel that way, do you?
Well, it's about knowing what your market risk is. It's about having the expectation in place. And so what's very, very neat and interesting that I don't feel like a lot of people, at least in my experience being in the big box world, didn't teach customers, and I wasn't taught, was simply this. We didn't understand that there was a risk speed that every asset class traveled between 1 and 99. Do you know your risk speed? Do you know the combination of your assets, how fast they're traveling? Think about driving a car. The faster we drive, the more risk we're taking, right? The slower we drive, the less risk we're taking. Now, there's a balance of that safety on the low side of the scale, and there's a balance on the high side. And where is your magic number? And so it's not moderate, conservative, aggressive, where there's bandwidths and we don't understand it and we can't quantify it.
Well, I love what you just said there, because I do this around the country. And I hear people make this comment about, well, Mark, I lost this much money, but I was in a moderate plan. Mark, I lost this much money, and I was only in a conservative plan. and they just really, it's disheartening.
It is.
Because they feel like they've done some risk questionnaire thing. Oh, you're a moderately aggressive person. You're a moderately conservative, whatever, or you're just moderate. And they think that's okay. They don't even know what that might mean to them.
And what it is.
So tell me more about this idea of a speed limit kind of thing.
Well, it's interesting. I think like we talked about it, big box companies are trying to do something that makes it simple for them. Okay? It's not custom tailored to an individual like you. It's your money. Should it be custom designed around what you feel comfortable with? So one of the things we do after we understand your goals and dreams is understand how much risk can you stomach in the money that you're okay to afford market risk with. Now, you're not going to put all your money in market risk. It's designed for growth. It's designed for our liquid needs. It's not designed for our income or safety. Those are different asset classes, and you need to understand the differences between them. But yes, that risk speed is super important. It allows us and our fiduciary team and our CFPs to custom tailor options. And then what's even neat about that is you'll know exactly what your maximum drawdown is or the maximum amount of their portfolios lost in the past. This is expectation, right? We get frustrated, we fire people, like you said, because our expectations weren't set properly. Well, hey, if you feel comfortable having your market account fluctuate down 10 or 20%, we want to make sure that something is in that vein, driving that speed so that you're not going too quickly and then it veers you off course, or you end up crashing and
or
burning.
too slowly and don't get the expected
You got it.
gains. Is that the?
We need both.
Am I here with him?
Yeah.
Okay.
If inflation is high, we got to make a return. And so it's a balance. And so it's not a matter of going, I'm going to throw all this money in cash, and I'm going to throw all this money in high risk, because that's what people try to do to mitigate it. It's about having the right portfolio.
So is this number on the scale you're talking about from 1 to 100?
Yeah.
Would my number be different than one of the viewers, maybe?
You got it. Everyone's different.
Is it really that personal?
It really is.
So so would I have like is it literally every individual number between 1 and 100?
Yep.
So like I might be a 60 and somebody else might be a 52?
Yep.
And it could be tailored like that?
Absolutely.
Well, that's just so fascinating to me.
It is nice.
What do clients think when they come in and see this and go through this process? Is it complicated?
It's not complicated, but what it does is it pops the hood on exactly what you are seeking. How much risk, how much can I lose in my portfolio, so that if something does go back, we go through an extended recession again. When it happens, it's not a matter of if, but when.
When?
We've been prepared. We have a strategy for mitigation. And then the money that we don't want at risk at all, we can put over here in different places and still try to get returns, so that we're not so impacted by the opposite side of the spectrum, where we have interest rate risk and inflation risk eroding at that all the time.
This is amazing. I'm learning a lot. So tell me about this one. You told me there was a risk called longevity?
Longevity risk, yep.
All right, so what is that?
Man, that's an interesting one. Longevity risk.
These are all interesting. Let me be clear. These are all kind of interesting to me.
These are fun. So longevity risk is all about how long we live. The longer we live, the more money we're going to need to sustain our lifestyle over time. If we live longer, we have more risk potentially of healthcare costs increasing on us. We know that Medicare by itself doesn't cover everything. And so even though we have some health insurance, the government health insurance, we need to have supplement plans to that. We need to make sure that if it's appropriate, we have a hybrid product or long-term care insurance to help us address some of the major medical things that could come at us and really just rob us of our wealth that we've worked hard for.
This is so many things, though, that the typical big box firm just aren't even prepared to talk about.
And this is the difference between someone who focuses on accumulation, nothing wrong with that,
right,
and our firm really focuses on folks that are 10 to 15 years away from retirement, taking the wealth they've accumulated, adding a strategy and a plan to accomplish their dream and goal so that they're thriving, not surviving.
You're a specialist.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the only way to describe it. And, you know, sometimes in life we need just a general practitioner.
Yeah.
But there are times, and I think retirement would be one of them, where you want a true retirement specialist.
Yep.
Am I right?
Totally true. It's kind of like this situation now. My mom was a teacher. She's now got stage 7 Alzheimer's. It's a sad, sad situation. We don't go to a general practitioner to get information about my mom and her care. We go to an Alzheimer's specialist because that's what she needs. That's the person that has the knowledge and the experience to help with that.
Wow. We've got an amazing opportunity for you right now. On your screen right now, 855-855-7655. And also there's a QR code, that little funny little dots over there in the corner of the screen. Don't forget you can scan that with your phone, take a picture of it, and use it as well. But again, this number to call, 855-855-7655. Ben and his amazing team have agreed to accept the next 15 callers. The lucky 15 callers that'll call in now. If you've saved $250,000 or more, this is absolutely for you. They will create and help you get started on your very own, not some cookie cutter plan, your very own confident financial future with a written retirement plan. And it all starts right now with a very simple phone call. Have the courage to get a second opinion on something as important as your retirement. You've worked hard for this. You know you deserve it. You know you need it. Now's the time to receive it. 855-855-7655. Hey, stay tuned. We've got so much more coming up on Retire Your Way.
When was the last time you saw your financial professional? Are you getting the most out of the strategy that was created for you? Although you've done a great job finding someone to help plan for your future, are you 100% sure that you were given the right strategy? We can help answer these questions and more with a complimentary second opinion evaluation. We will take a look at what you have in place and then help determine if you're well positioned to get the most out of your future retirement income. In the event that it is not, we can help by making suggestions and showing you how to get on the right path. You wouldn't get just one opinion when it comes to a major health decision, so why would you treat your most important financial decision with such disregard? Call today for your no-cost, no-obligation second opinion evaluation to see if you're getting the most out of your retirement income plan.
Welcome back to Retire Your Way. I'm your co-host, Mark Henry, and of course, I'm joined with the founder himself, Ben Heiser. Ben, this has been an amazing show, and it's really speeding by, but I don't want to get out of here without giving them all. There's so many more than five. We could go on for days. We have the top 25.
Yep.
But we've talked about market risk.
Yes.
We've talked about longevity risk.
Yes.
We've talked about interest rate risk, which really surprised me
Yep.
on that when it really does. And I think that one's going to caught a lot of people by surprise.
Yeah.
Let's get a couple more.
Yeah. Well, you know, one of the other main things that we'd like to talk about from a risk perspective, Mark, is what we call sequence of return. It's fancy. What it means is the order of the return in your portfolio.
All right, you got me here.
All right.
Do we need a whole new show for this?
No, we're going to do it.
Don't lose me, because you're a super smart guy. So don't lose me on this or the audience, okay?
So here's what I want us to think about, right? If our money is in the market, which is where people say, hey, just buy big box companies, buy a market portfolio, diversified, et cetera, and that's all we're doing. They're not looking at every asset class with somebody to appropriately, fine-tune different products that make sure that we're matching with your dream. They're just selling you the product of the market and the return that you're chasing. And that limits you to certain things. One of them is sequence of return. So while we're accumulating our wealth, you need to understand something. The market is great. We can add to it. We get dollar cost averaging, et cetera. What happens when we start spending money out of our portfolios in retirement? Let's talk about it. So here's what this means. Sequence of return. When do you lock in, Mark, gains or losses in a portfolio? When we do what? We sell.
We take money out to use it.
Yes. So we're going to automatically have to sell in two areas of our life. One, we have a gap for income in our retirement. Or two, the government, right, the IRS is going to force us to take a required minimum distribution.
The dreaded RMD.
Exactly. So when we have to take this out, whether we need it or we're forced to, it's going to happen at some point in time in your retirement. Here's what I want you to understand. When the sequence of returns goes down and we're locking in our losses, what are we actually doing in this situation? We get two negatives, right?
Double whammy.
Double whammy. And that doesn't even include anything else.
Is that a financial term now?
It is now,
it's
right?
It's the dreaded double whammy.
The dreaded double whammy. So if the market's going up, right, a lot of times that makes it easy because we're locking in gains and we're using our profit. But when we're locking in losses, it can take our retirement, right, that's using, say, an old rule like the rule of 4 and shrink it up. You lose 50% of your portfolio and you're taking $40,000 a year out of your money right now. Now you got 20 grand that you can take out, but you still need 40. Well, now I'm locking in losses, double compounding. It can shrink it up really quick and find someone
it's almost,
in trouble.
One of the great wonders of math is this idea of dollar cost averaging.
Yep.
But that's almost like the complete reverse of it, isn't it?
It's like a reversal double dollar cost averaging backwards. Yeah.
Right. It's like it's the double whammy.
It's the double whammy.
I didn't know we'd have a new term on the show.
Hey.
But I got to tell you, this is so. Again, what would their choices be? Just don't eat that month?
Well, let me ask you this: is that an option for you? It isn't for me. It's not for our clients. We don't want you surviving, we want you thriving, and so part of that is having a plan so that we can address sequence of returns, because the market, oftentimes when we model it, can be wrong for somebody if they need to fill a gap that Social Security doesn't cover. And so we need to create that private pension that we no longer have anymore, because the government's changed some companies said, hey, you know what? We all used to have pensions.
Right.
Now we don't have them anymore. We got to make our own. And so there are asset classes that give us guaranteed income that are designed for the purpose of income, the right tool for the right job that makes your money more efficient so you can let your market money breathe and we're not selling it at the wrong time.
Is that basically that's removing the sequence of return risk
It does.
for millions of people?
And when you can do that, you can feel confident in your portfolio, and you can feel confident that your money's not going to run out, because your red money, which is what we call it, is the variable money, that can now be used for the growth that it's designed for. And our green money, which we use for income money, that money is designed to give you the guarantee for income and allow the money to be in the right tool for the right job. A builder doesn't use a hammer to screw in a screw, right? They use it to drive in a nail. We do the same thing, and because we're independent, we get to shop the marketplace and find the absolute best fit for our customer's individual need.
Wow. Well, we've only got about a minute left in this show, and I know you've got something else you want to talk about, but let me just wrap it up with this. When it comes to tax planning, can you say that you have a retirement plan if it has not included tax planning?
No. In fact, I have a friend of mine that is a tax attorney, and the big thing that they're concerned about, taxes are at all-time lows, Mark. In the 70s, right? Tax rates were up in the 60, 70%. Back in the 40s, we got up to top tax rate of 94. And if you aren't planning for taxes going up from where they are today, you could find your retirement savings are evaporating of about half of what they are.
This has been an impactful show for me, and I know it has been for you. Now's the time to take action. Right now, phone lines are open. There's a QR code on your screen. You can scan it. Do not miss this opportunity. 855-855-7655. Again, that number to call right now. 855-855-7655. Ben and his amazing team have agreed to accept the next 15 callers. If you've saved, let's say, $250,000 or more, this is for you. It'll be absolutely complimentary. Leave your darn checkbook at home. It's not needed. You come in and you get your questions answered, and you get started on your very own confident financial future. It's time to thrive in retirement. No surviving here. It's time for you to thrive. You know you earned it. You know you deserve it. Now's the time to receive it. 855-855-7655. Hey, we hope you found the information today useful and helpful, because that's how it's intended. And we encourage you strongly to please watch again and tune in next week for another amazing episode of Retire Your Way. See you next week.